Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Enough channel. In this video we're going to preview round 22 of the 2025 NRL Fantasy season. So as usual, before we talk about my team, we'll go through, look at the who's hot, who's not list, thanks to footystatistics.com, scraping all that delicious data for us. So the who's hot list, number one, Isaiah Katoa, absolutely makes sense as a trade-in or a replacement for Jerome Hughes, who we'll talk about in a minute. Big fan of Isaiah, can get around it. So I guess what's coming next will be quite disappointing. Isaiah Yeo at number two, obviously super solid base, which you want from your middles in fantasy. So can absolutely get around bringing him in. Harry Grant at number three, you know, has the potential to be a keeper in the hooker position for the last few rounds. I'm pretty set there already, so I'm not looking at Harry Grant myself. But again, totally understand the move. Joash Papali'i, so played fullback last week. Didn't actually see his score. So he scored 43 points, which is an awesome return at 230k. Started to make a bit of cash, break even of 3. So if you've got the trades to do it, it absolutely makes sense to target Papali'i. Jaden Campbell at number 5. Everyone knows that I'm a big Jaden Campbell fan. And the dual position, he's slightly cheaper price point. You know, I think he is an awesome sort of sideways trade, or even potentially, you know, slight downgrade, but you do free up cash to make other moves with Jaden Campbell. Jacob Kiraz at number 6. So with the move to fullback, I think this could be great news for his scoring ability. You know, if you haven't got him, absolutely get on. Tyron Wishart, with Jerome Hughes out for the rest of the season, it makes sense to bring in his replacement. You know, with his bench role, he should be super cheap, 338k. You know, him and Munster will share the kicking, so it's not a lock that he will, you know, skyrocket in price. But just the 80 minutes alone, as you can see from the scores, you know, take out the starting roles, he's averaging, what's that, maybe 30 minutes a game. So, you know, his scores will double just from being on the field for the right amount of time. Next, Jacob Preston, you know, edge player, has the ability to find the try line. Against the Tigers this week could be a good opportunity to cross again. So I don't hate it as a keeper option to bring in on the edge, particularly if you've got an Ola Kawatu that you need to replace. Who else got injured on the weekend? Trying to remember. But good pick. Nathan Cleary, if you don't have him, absolutely bring him in. Before Campbell, before Katoa, before anyone on this list. I think he's only that low because most people already have him. Lockie Galvin is one that I'm seriously considering bringing in this week. What's the price point? This might be the deciding factor. So 488k, you know, playing halfback, he scored 50s back-to-back weeks. One was with a try. You know, the other one was a little bit more in terms of the kicking meters. So I think, you know, as he warms up into that role, you know, he's definitely one that I'm targeting for the start of next year. Herbie Farnworth, if you haven't got him, he's off the bye. Clean run to the end of the season. Bring him in with confidence. Dylan Edwards, great wing fullback option to bring in. So I don't hate anyone doing that. Hudson Young, big fan of bringing him in. Tom Dearden, not sure what his ownership is like, but he's in form, 5%. That's a pretty super pod type territory. You know, you could absolutely bring him in for Jerome Hughes. And Jamal Fogarty has a good run for the Raiders. They do have a bye though, so that's the one downside to bringing in Jamal Fogarty at this time of year. On the trade out list, number 1, Jerome Hughes. Absolutely makes sense. Probably won't feature again till the finals. Ruben Garrick, not sure if that's just off the back of a poor performance. I don't believe he's injured. You know, it's always a forgive against the Bulldogs with their awesome defence. So, with games still to come against the Tigers, the Dragons, you know, there's still potential for big scores from Ruben Garrick. In saying that, if you are going to a Kiraz or a Farnworth, big upgrade there. Ficketti's been moved back to the bench, so absolutely time to move him on. Tallis Duncan still stuck out in the centres. So, and it only gets worse with Jack White getting a few weeks out. So, yep, he has to go, unfortunately. Wade Egan out 1 week with a head knock, but probably better options in the hooker position, so you can trade him. Latu Finu. So, obviously, if you can get to one of these other trade-ins that we just talked about, great option. Iongi, probably going to miss a few weeks, so you know, switch to Papali and make some cash. You might almost be able to sideways straight to Campbell or Edwards if we need 100k. So if you can, that's definitely the move. Karapani's not playing, so you can move him on. Nwanga Nituase, I think just forgive. He has the upside to score big. And I'm tipping the Roosters to win this week, so if that sways you at all, feel free. Kyle Matangi, yep, out for the season. He can go. Liero, I guess just that middling type pick. I think he's a hold, unless you've got a lot of trades in reserve. King Togia, yep, I think there's options you can move him on to. Jaden Sewer, so not sure what his situation is. Hasn't really come up on my radar. If he's playing, a hold. If he's out, trade. Connor Tracy probably misses the rest of the regular season, so a trade out. And Olakwatu, also a trade out. So in terms of my trades this week, I have gone the one trade of Hughes to Campbell, but I am very tempted to use the other trades. So I guess the current team, if we have a look, you know, we've got decent forward, like the starting 13 is pretty solid. With Campbell coming in, I'm going to use him in the halves. I've already got Hines, Cleary, wing fullback. I've already got Hines, Cleary in the halves. I've got Donahue on the bench, and obviously Adam Dewey. So I'm pretty set in the halves. I would love to get Katoa in, but I think Campbell's flexibility is going to help me a lot, given the low number of trades. But then there is a question of, you know, can we, you know, sort of upgrade the bench? Because Watson, Preston, Donahue, pretty happy with playing most weeks. Turbo, Nwangani Tuase, Curran, it's like, okay, I can play them, but, you know, if I don't have to, it would be nice to bench them. So then I guess Latu Finu, do we look at upgrading him? So with the 159k, there's not a lot going on, but we could look at a couple of options. So, you know, we're pretty covered in most positions. Obviously, maybe another keeper in the middle edge would be good. So we could downgrade and upgrade, but those are our two trades gone. So, you know, if we're looking in the sideways category, I think we're looking at those halves. So we could go with Wishart, and that would make us a bit of money. So another 70k. That might be enough to upgrade a Curran potentially. The other option, and the one that I'm a bit more excited about, is going to Galvin. So it does cost us a bit, but we have the cash in the bank. And he is playing the Tigers this week, so I think he'll be up for a big one. But just as he grows into this role, you know, 48 over the last 3. So playing those bigger minutes. So being a Bulldogs fan too probably sways me. I'm getting on the Galvin train. So sort of takes the guesswork out of who I want to play this week. So we'll push Galvin in. So, you know, pretty happy with the squad as it is. I know I've only got one trade left, and that'll just be for any sort of injury. But obviously, I've got plenty of wing fullback cover. If I had to play these guys in the back line, I would. Curran, I would like to upgrade, but I mean, he can do a job. So I'm just going to hold him. And the rest of the team is I'm pretty sweet with. So, going to do the extra trade, lock it all in. Cleary is captain this week against the Gold Coast. Big fan of it. Terrell May, super safe vice captaincy option. Save it, make sure of it, and we're done. So yeah, as always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the fantasy NRL content. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.